name changed on that, that we don't have any such thing as a surplus tax.
Yeah,
Yes, we do.
Okay.
that's the state's terminology.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys understand what surplus tax is?
No,
Okay, every year, at the end of the year, we have people who overpaid their taxes. And if it's $5 and over, we send them a claim form with a letter that says, if this was overpaid by, did you do a typo on your check? Or what, did you refinance and think you were responsible for it, but your bank did? And that is called surplus tax. If the people don't claim it, we carry that for 3 years in the surplus tax, and after 3 years, it's just like unclaimed funds, and it transfers back into county general. That's what the surplus tax is. We have the same thing with tax sale properties, where people come in and buy tax sale properties, and then people, it's like unclaimed Indiana funds. You've seen that advertisement. So it's really, this would be for 2010. This is the amount of money that we had overpaid in taxes that people didn't come back in and claim it.
I move to approve the transfer resolution.
Second.
moving second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay. Got transferred.
You need to sign on the left-hand side. They think that's funny, but they do that all the time.
Brandon? Okay. Is anything else?
Commissioner.
Oh, Commissioner report. I thought we were
Commissioner, you want?
I've got just a quick report here. Biggest concern that we have right now is insurance, health insurance. We have a meeting on the 13th at 10 o'clock with our insurance third-party administrator and our insurance agent for, I guess, Chad Birch through our insurance. And we're going to try to get things straightened out. We've got some issues. We've got some looming issues right now that could affect us tremendously. So we need to really try to be as proactive as we can on that. We did suspend our meeting yesterday, the commissioners' meeting, so that we could all three meet with the insurance people to make sure that we all understood what was happening. We also talked about a separate attorney rather than using the county attorney for the health department, because the health department needs an attorney that can deal with smaller issues all the time and get things signed easily. Right now we have Dan Sigler is actually 90% of the time he's in Allen County, and it's difficult for him to deal with the health department. So they're going to be coming to you for put that in the budget for next year.
I always thought they had their attorney through the years.
But he passed away. He used to be.
Ben used to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Ben died.
So recently they've been using our county attorney, and it's been an issue because really Dan
But hasn't
doesn't
always
get,
been in their budget though, attorney?
I'm not sure.
I think so.
Yeah, and isn't it normally selected by the health board?
I would think it should be.
Yeah.
It should be in there because they got their own separate tax rate that covers their expenses, and the county attorney should be part of that.
I always thought that was part of it.
I did too.
They don't have an appropriation for it, for legal services.
I always thought they had an attorney, it was kind of a line item I always thought was in there.
There's no appropriation within the health budget.
Maybe it was a couple years ago, and then when they lost Ben, they didn't,
Couple
right,
years.
it became the county attorney umbrella or something.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I
but it
stuck a
shouldn't be
note
the
for
county
the
attorney.
2014 budget.
That's major issues. The other thing I'd like to do is introduce our intern that works with Pam, Holly Hicks, and she's doing a great job for us, doing a lot of work, and I'd like to introduce her to the council.
She's going to be here. She's been here for, 8 weeks? You'll be here for 8 weeks through the end of the year. Yeah, she's done a really good job. Today she's doing a field trip. We're working through Judy Moore to get some interns. Engineering department had 2 of them this year as well. But she's doing a field trip today, and not going to school. She's here to to see how the county council functions, and we're going to be doing the HR network today, as well as touring the community corrections building. So she's got a full day planned with a couple other meetings too.
Well, you got a good teacher.
We'll see. She might not want to stay in HR field since she's done with me.
I do have a question on the CEDAP fund. There's supposed to be reports from the incorporated towns.
They got those.
We have one from
Okay,
Bosco.
well, really, that really isn't a CEDAP report, though. That,
No, that's a capital improvement plan.
yeah, we haven't really gotten anything, and I don't know if that has to be determined or accepted by the county council, or does that get accepted by the commissioners? I think it's the council that really on that
I don't
should
think we
be.
usually get one.
This is the first one I've got for a long time, so I gave you all copies to show what they had intentions of spending their money on.
Well, it'd be nice to see it,
Yeah.
if we could get a copy of
From
that.
all the incorporated
Well,
areas.
they're required, I mean, by
Yes.
law, they're required to do that.
That is correct.
But I didn't know if it was supposed to go to the commissioners or to the council, I guess.
Does it say in the code?
Well, let it go to the commissioners, and then you could
Okay.
go over it with us.
I'll
Okay.
address, I have that whole folder on CEDAT by their 2-year plan. I'm gonna see how much it has to be in the other one. Real quick, the other stuff that was in your guys' packet is, we finally balanced before you guys met with the treasurer's office, so I gave you the amount of funds and their balance and what's been expended. Paula Warden sent over a packet of her monthly reports for that. And I just wanted you to know that I have, 3, the big packet that's in your, thing about budget was a class I took, because remember, the packets are gonna go out to the department heads for June, and I'm working on the schedule. But it's, one of the things from the meeting that I learned was that maybe you should meet with the other districts to see what funds they're going to try to reestablish tax rates in. And for an example, Columbia City right now has 3 CUME funds that they're reestablishing, that they're in their 30-day objection. And it's CUME Capital, CUME Park and Rec, and maybe CUME Fire. So, you know, here they are putting 3 increases to the DLGF for a fund that's gonna come at the end down to a county, and we're gonna add to the CUME Capital. So, one of the things that the DLGF thing said from that is to meet with all the districts, because what if Creek Township is adding CUME Fire on? So they're, you know, you look at that, how many people that's gonna impact within the area. So now in the city, if we raise ours, that's 4 funds within a tax rate that's gonna be increased. So if you read in the packet from the training thing, which had a lot more to do with council than I thought it was, it tells you to meet with the other districts, townships, cities, whatever, and what are their plans for incrementing, you know, an increase to their tax rates. And it tells maybe you should invite them to before or while you're having your budgets to see what they're gonna do. But I can tell you that I have the city sitting there waiting to increase 3 of their funds for the year. So those people are gonna get hit with 4 tax rate increases.
And if Columbia Township had one that could get it with it. Correct.
So there's gonna be a couple. I have almost all the compliance forms in. I'll make a spreadsheet for a June meeting, because they're due the 15th. And that will be, you'll have to get them ahead of time. So if you see that spreadsheet, kind of look it over. If there's any of the businesses that we've given all these abatements to, you'll want to address them if they don't, from their statement of benefits, how many employees they have, or if they're not meeting their expectations of their thing. I think we only sent 2 letters out, and they had a reason for that. I still don't have any change of the 911 fund. Did you talk to anyone about that?
I've talked to Banks about it.
I didn't get anywhere with that either. And there was 2 new funds set up. One was for the Sex and Violent Offender Administration, which is a new fee that's going to be implemented from the Sheriff's Department for $50 a year being paid, and then $5 for any changes. The court incentive, you heard Judge Fall talk about that. You'll start seeing that on your fund report. It's number 8896. And then we changed the number from the Vax Care to be called Health Clinic 4014, which can be then used for any services for the health clinic at the end of the hall for shots and so forth, instead of just the name of the Vax Care that is given the most often from that. And that's pretty much all.
How
Maybe-
did the exemptions end up working out?
Exemptions,
People supposed to be filing?
I took 350 homesteads off in Whitley County because the pink form's not turned in. We kept them separate. I've added back about 50 maybe. So taxes are due at the end of the year. The only ones that still scare me are the people who have it escrowed, that they're so far out of reach of what goes on with the house payment until they see their house payment go up, and then their bank or lender's gonna say, well, it's because your taxes went up, and they may not see that until they reestablish that at the end of the year, and that might catch some more people. But we're gonna start doing some back billing. The other thing I forgot to say was Jessica Hockemeyer is gonna come and work part-time in my office because this is an off-election year, so I'm gonna get her for Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And we checked with the State Board of Accounts, and since she's paid out of county general and already appropriated, they actually commended us for keeping someone instead of moving her back to part-time. So I'm going to use her to do my summer normal exemptions and use my other part-time person to start the back billing process to
Just
get
watch
some
that
stuff.
overtime, because a lot of offices will try and,
We did. We already talked about it, that she can't go over in either place.
right.
And then I just have to, when Brett was here for our exit interview, he said to just make sure that she had a timesheet for my office and a timesheet for the clerk's office. And that's all he would request when he came in to do an audit next year, was the countable hours that she actually worked. And that I signed off in my office. And then Debbie, as her supervisor, signed off in the other. But she's gonna be done in September because they have a special election down in South Whitley for the Whitco school. And that's another thing
We
that.
got a referendum election,
Yes,
they're paying for it?
right, we'll have to front the money for $8,000, and Debbie's gonna come to you next month and ask for that, but then the Whitco school has to reimburse us for all that money. So I'm suggesting that you take it out a rainy day, because we'll take 8,000 out, and then we can just put it back in there when the Whitco
How
school gets
long do
us
they have to
back.
pay that back?
By 60 days or 90 days, Debbie has the IC code. Debbie from clerk's office is gonna come to you next month and tell you about it. So I only got Jessica from May until September. And then next year we'll be back to elections again, and she'll be gone, so.
Now, the last time they came here, we voted it down. And then they turned around and said, oh, you couldn't vote it down. That's law's changed to where,
Yeah.
what's the status on that now? Last time we was here, we voted no. So
For
before
what?
I got out of town hardly, they called the council back for a special meeting and voted it back in. Said, oh, you can't turn it down. Now, what's the law on that now?
Yeah.
We're gonna vote, I mean, if we're wasting our time having a vote, or we can vote no or whatever.
Yeah,
Had to have a hearing.
Ziegler showed up, said it's against the law to vote it down.
No,
Well,
why
Wasn't
not?
Ziegler.
White leather.
White
White
leather.
leather.
He was a
That's
school
correct.
attorney, and
That's
they went
correct.
over there and they told,
The superintendent of Wicco come here, he's the only one that showed up.
and then he went running right over there and said, hey, they turned it down, and what, I said, well, they can't do
They
that.
can't do that, and before everybody got gone, or,
Well, I don't think.
You come back halfway from home.
Theoretically, we shouldn't turn it down, because it ought to be up to the taxpayers and that's.
But I mean,
School
why did it
corporation.
come here is what I guess my question.
Yeah, why even bother? But it's not up to us, it's their decision. What are they trying to do now?
But I mean, I don't understand, I kind of thought we have a meeting and do that or whatever, before it comes to us. I want to know,
The
can we vote the way we want to vote, or is it a
Are you
thing?
talking about the referendum?
Yeah.
Oh,
See, last time we voted down, and they said, no, you can't do that. Well, what do we even vote for? Is what I wonder.
Why do you even bother?
Nothing's changed, as far as I can know.
I mean, has the law changed on that? I'd like to know what stance is on it, because I may want to vote no.
What are
Jen,
they gonna
can
do?
you research that and put it in our packets before?
I think,
I can.
if I
and
remember
the-
right, I think the only thing we're voting on is that we're allowing them to put it on a ballot.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
We're
what it
not-
was before, though.
But we're not saying they can
do it or not
do it or not do it, we're allowing them to put it on the
But
ballot.
that was the question before. That was what our duty was,
I'll get
not
with
whether or not
Debbie
they
on that
did it,
too,
it was whether they
because I
put it on
don't
the
wanna
ballot,
mess
that
it
was
up
the
if we're
question.
gonna spend the money to do it.
And so, like I say, we had,
How, I mean,
We had our
I
hands
don't
tied.
wanna, I don't wanna play the high and mighty, but what tells me, well, how can I sit here and vote no, I don't want it on the ballot when I don't live in Southwood?
well, I can, I live there.
You can,
Yeah.
yeah, but, I mean,
But anyway, you know, what I'm saying is, last time we went through that same thing, the question was, shall it be placed on the ballot? We
Yeah.
voted no. Turned right around, well, you can't do that, well,
Well,
why do we
that's
even
not
vote
like
for it then?
something
Why would
Obama
we,
did.
why would, it's not our responsibility.
It's way one down.
The other
I don't wanna
thing
do
is,
that again, I wanna know where we are.
Yeah.
I'll put the schedule that's approved by George Hilton for your budgets in your packet. So I'm trying to keep close, are on your dates of normal meetings, but there's sometimes you'll have to meet, you know, the
Do
reason.
we wanna schedule any of that now, cause I'm gonna be gone a lot.
Well, do we do that in June or July?
July.
I mean,
Yeah,
the department
June
heads
is
don't come
just
until
getting the
July. do
form
they?
ones back from the department heads.
Okay. Well, then
So
we don't
there's
have to worry
no
about it.
special meetings in June. July, August, and then there's, the rest of them, I think, coordinate to your meeting dates if George approves that schedule I just turned in. Especially September and October are your actual meeting dates. So there's only like 2 days you'll have to meet just to meet their 10-day requirements on hearings. And I'm running the solid waste on the same schedule again. That worked for the best, that he didn't get forgotten last year.
Jen, is this something we need to invite the trustees in to see what they're thinking?
Yeah, not so much that, but they just said, just like I was commenting on the Columbia City town, our city, you know, does Busco have intentions of increasing some cum rates? Do the townships? You know, not that you can't tell them yes or no, but, you know, if the city does 4 and we do 1, that's 4 increases to a tax rate in 1 year. And you don't even know about it. And nothing you can really do, but.
Well, we know what our needs are, and I'm sure they know what their needs are, and that's the way it is. We
But it's
gotta
one of
have
the
some more money.
suggestions in there comes into play.
But didn't ours go down, our county rate go down just a little bit this year, like 8% or something?
Right.
I can't understand why, I understand how schools go up, but I can't understand how Cleveland Township went up 24%.
The
They
other
paid
thing,
off their fire station.
remember when you look at those fund reports, that county general looks a little weird right now because Cadget money is going into 1110, not county general. So it's gonna look weak because we funded all that 2.7 million down here in Cadget instead out of county general, and they made us separate those funds.
See how much money you got in county general, you have to add those two together.
Right, you pretty
basically.
much have to add those two together to see the true balance of what if you're gonna compare apples to apples. Don't go, oh my gosh, what happened to all our money?
Jenny, when they collect money here May 10th, how long does it take for that to get into these funds?
We have 45 days to distribute it. So by June 30th is a good time frame to look at. And that's balancing with the treasurer's office and then actually distributing out to the cities, towns, and the specials like conservancies and drains and everything that we distribute. We'll have to balance and then distribute by June 30th.
When that money comes in the treasurer's office, like in the last 30 days, now that goes into an interest-bearing account until it's put over?
Right.
So they pay 30%.
What would you say?
30%. Anything else? I guess we're adjourned.
Got all your corn plant, Tom?
No, I got a little flatter.
That's good.